You give a man back his heart, you show him his place in the battle, you teach him how to fight, he's unstoppable
Mhm.
at that point. I mean, he becomes a force of nature.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Mountain Tough podcast. I am Dustin Diefenderfer, host and CEO of Mountain Tough, and I'm so glad that you are here. I love seeing you dive into these episodes week after week, and it is our goal to bring you an inspiring guest every single week that helps you with that mental health, that mental toughness, that mental fitness, and gives you some tools in your mindset toolbox so that you can crush your goals, so that you can stay dangerous, so that you can live always ready. Thanks for being here, and thanks for making us one of the top mental toughness shows in the country. If you are new to this show and you are a new listener, I do want you to know about a code that gets you 6 weeks free on the Mountain Tough app. This code is exclusive to our podcast community, our podcast family. The code is Mountain Pod. MTNPOD, all caps, all one word. Just go to mountaintough.com, click start free trial, enter that code Mountain Pod. That gets you 6 weeks of free training on the Mountain Tough Plus app. It's going to unlock all of our physical programming to get you in the best shape of your life. Additionally, the spiritual, mental, nutritional content is all in there as well. So check that out. The code's Mountain Pod. MountainTough.com, click start free trial to get going today. Shifting over to today's guest, this is a special episode because in so many ways, this individual helped shape me as a human and helped launch the company Mountain Tough. On the podcast today, we have author of Wild at Heart, John Eldredge. John is a legend in the men spiritual Christian community, particularly because of the book Wild at Heart. He talks about today how he published that in September of 2001. And that book, that movement has changed so many men. It's all about men have a battle to fight, a beauty to rescue, an adventure to live. It encourages men to get out there and pursue their purpose, mission, and calling in this life. It was a transformational book that did lead to the creation of Mountain Tough. So this has been an interview I've been excited about for a long time. So please stand by for my conversation with John Eldredge. The lives of people who move the needle of history are ones not defined by what they were able to achieve, but by what they were able to overcome. I'm excited to connect. We talked a little bit offline just how big, Wild at Heart has been for Mountain Tough and in your book, and in so many ways that it changed my life and it inspired a lot of the ethos around Mountain Tough. We have several big ethoses that we've put on shirts and hats, but one of them has been always ready, where we want our customers to be ready for anything that life is going to throw their way, whether that is a friend calling you to pack out a bowl tomorrow. We don't want you to have to train for that. We don't want you to have to be ready for that. We want you to be able to just say yes and go. That might be a car wreck on the way home, or it might be a home intruder that you need to protect your family. But we want our customers to be mentally, physically, spiritually ready, because life's going to throw some crazy things at you. But another one of our ethos has been this mentality of staying dangerous. And it used to be on our podcast studio behind me here, but we revamped into this all black theme for season 2 of our podcast. And staying dangerous is about being adventurous and following your heart and following your calling. And it also is about passing that on to the next generation and raising up that next generation to also pursue those callings in their heart. So a lot of that comes, from you and the work you've done. So it's exciting to finally connect.
Oh, right on. I love that stuff. You guys are doing a great job. Well done.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a really cool journey. And I was curious, you went from writing Wild at Heart and then you wrote Beautiful Outlaw. And are you continuing to work on a lot of different books?
Yep, it's part of my calling, part of
Okay.
the adventure, which I really just fell into. I didn't set out to be a an author.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of fell into it and then found I love it, and people seem to be responding to it. So yeah, every couple of years I'll put out a new book.
And what are you working on now?
Oh man. So the book I want to write is adventure stories in the wild
Yeah.
because we've got so many of them. Just crazy stuff in bush plains and yeah, chasing a caribou in the Arctic and stuff. But I think that's a couple projects away.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm really like you guys. I'm really focused on like mental health and well-being just because I think people are getting hammered
Yeah.
in this hour. And being disciples to the internet and all that has really messed a lot of guys up. So my heart is for restoration. My heart really is for I want to see guys and gals flourish. So
Mm.
that as a therapist, I kind of tend to be writing more in that vein right now.
Yeah. That's really interesting because I even catch it at times where you'll watch a movie from the 70s or 80s, 90s, and it seems like just from watching those films or a game, any sort of content that's showing kind of the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, you can almost feel even in a glimpse of that content or show that civilization wasn't as stressed as they are now, which always fascinates me because we have more tools, resources, technologies, medicines than ever before, certainly more than the 80s. But the 80s didn't seem to be causing the mental health ramifications on men, young men, women, children that we're seeing today with all the tools and resources we have today and the knowledge at our fingertips, which is very counterintuitive. What do you think is kind of going on there?
Well, that's very perceptive too. As you look back at older media, you're like, wow, people didn't seem to be as stressed out.
Mm,
Or the stress is just built into the storyline. Yeah. Um, well, okay. So if you look at some of the data, what do we got? We've got the explosion of the internet and the smartphone. So just screen time, right? Which literally rewires your brain
mm,
and it destroys your attention span. So you've got that. I think we've entered into a period in the world of global instability, whether it's global markets. I mean, Germany's coalition government fell apart this fall. So did France's, so did Austria's. You just tick, 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 tick. South Korea. Like,
mm.
you have a lot of political instability. Uh, and then you've got even down to just weather patterns, biggest storms ever. We're in 2024. What's that about? Lot of guys living in the wake of like Helene and Milton on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Catastrophic stuff. California fires. I think the world, if you want my take on it, is in a period of chaos, and your body feels it.
Mm,
Like your soul reacts to it, no matter who you are, no matter where you are in the world. One in every two young people now reports an anxiety disorder. That's not a cause, that's a symptom. And the symptom is my world is unstable.
mm.
My future is unstable. I think that's what's going on.
That's really interesting too, because I think about my own personal journey and I'm a no social media guy. I was able to, cut that out really early on in the journey of social media. I'm a fitness guy for work, and so we're able to do, great training, sometimes multiple times per day. I Because of being a fitness guy, we also tend to have great nutrition around, and we're always focused on clean eating. And then I have a really strong faith, and I'm getting to spend time outside on hunting adventures. Even with all of those items in my life, which I feel like are all the tools that we are going to want to pursue to keep our mental health strong, I still find that the last couple years of the global uncertainty has weighed on me heavier than I've ever felt it weigh. Hey guys, I want to let you know about Jace Medical. I know a lot of Mountain Tough customers, a lot of Mountain Tough community members, those listening to this podcast are going on big hunts, massive expeditions all over the world. We love seeing that, and we love that you already know that you have to train physically for these trips. You have to train with your weapon. You need to be proficient with your weapon. But an often overlooked area of these expeditions is your personal medication. We actually just got back from a trip like this. The Mountain Tough crew went to Kyrgyzstan, and we needed the peace of mind of a customized medical kit that we could take with us, and we needed it at the exact time for this trip. So we went with Jace. We got our Jace case sent directly to us. We were able to grab it, open it up, throw it in our Kyrgyzstan pack, and take it with us. It gave us the peace of mind that in these international environments, we were going to be covered when it came to infection, GI issues, and anything else we were going to run into overseas medically. So check these guys out, an amazing company. The Jace case is going to come with 5 antibiotics that cover the 50 most common illnesses that you're going to run into anywhere in the world. But additionally, there's 29 add-ons that you can choose to customize your kit. So you can throw things in here like ivermectin, EpiPens, anything you need to customize it personally for you. So check these guys out, an amazing brand, amazing company, very practical for the Mountain Tough community. All you need to do is go to jacemedical.com and use the code MOUNTAINTOUGH at checkout.
There you go. So you've got all the tools and the lifestyle. Imagine the guy that doesn't.
That's what I think about.
Like, that's rough, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's real. And so, yeah, delighted in what you're doing for guys. Delighted to chat about this today because that there is help available if guys will seize it.
With what you're doing, let's start with a state of the union on kind of what you're seeing globally with men, because I know that you're running live events, and you're running live events not only stateside but internationally. So you're getting a really good lens into kind of the current state of men, physically, mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, it's a really weird moment, but I have some good news. So 2 things are going on at exactly the same time. You have all the instability increased, suicide's the number 2 killer of men, and pretty gnarly stuff. Depression rates are higher for men now than they've ever been since they started keeping track. But on the other hand, there is this movement out there. It's the great untold story of the world right now. Guys are getting well. Guys are becoming strong. Guys are forming bands of brothers. They're like literally getting together around fires on a regular basis. They're in each other's lives. There is this whole other thing going.
That's awesome.
Part of the cool thing is, okay, so we were talking about how do we get in the mess we're in now. Part of it had to do with the fatherless crisis that hit the world with the no-fault divorce culture and all that. we have a world of uninitiated men. They're mostly boy walking around in a man's body with all a man's responsibilities, right? I mean, suddenly he's got a career, he's got a mortgage, he's got kids, but he's still very young inside.
Hmm.
So that's a lot of the anxiety stuff. That is a lack of a culture of initiation, knowing how to initiate boys and young men into men. Okay. That's changing.
Hmm.
So there's like this whole, I don't know what to call it, like it's almost like a renaissance, a recovery movement. This third, untold story. Men are taking their wholeness seriously. You've got resources like your podcast and a whole bunch of other stuff. So they are starting to initiate their sons.
I love that.
Yeah, there's a killer thing going on where there is a new initiation culture going on out there. And I mean, we've seen it. We were just in Australia. We've seen it in South America. We've seen it in, South Africa, Europe. It it's going on at the same time this mental health thing's happening. So there's two stories. The whole instability thing is still very real, but there is this other story. And I think one of the key things of it is guys are coming out of isolation.
Hmm.
One or two, three or four, might be, weekend motocross. It might be, I mean, pickleball, like whatever it takes to get them together.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
That's really good that you're seeing that, especially the manhood ceremonies. We've talked on this show before that they are common in almost every other country but the United States. But the United States has been lacking for some time on this initiation, this celebration, this moment where a son knows that he's now a man. And I've seen the same thing on my end in terms of guys talking about this, putting them together, hosting them. A few weeks ago on this show on a Indian reservation in Arizona, our guest said the same thing, that he was revitalizing these manhood ceremonies, bringing them back,
Yeah.
and passing down that torch. And it's so cool to see that happening.
Yeah, it's killer. It's very, very hopeful.
Hmm. It also seems like, even though the symptoms are bad and worse than ever recorded history, right now in this season, there seems to be some revival of the warrior spirit in men. There's a lot of men with the warrior spirit that are getting saved, and there is a spiritual war happening at the moment. Things are looking very, very bad. There are so many positive signs at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you want to see the hand of God in it, so here's a wild fact. So September 2001, 9/11. September 2001, Wild at Heart came out.
Hmm.
And as you know, that message has been really healing for a lot of guys and helped you recover the warrior heart.
Yeah.
And again, you see these two stories, right? The global chaos, the darkness, man. It's a full-on spiritual war. There is evil in the world. But there's this other thing, yeah, that God is up to in restoring guys. And you give a man back his heart, you show him his place in the battle, you teach him how to fight. He's unstoppable
Hmm.
at that point. I mean, he becomes a force of nature.
That's crazy. So you released it 10 years before September 11th?
Oh, no, no, no. I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. Same month, 10
Okay.
years before. But there was like a preparation of, and then so many guys, took the warrior heart really seriously.
Yeah,
And they're like, let's go. Let's go.
that is wild. Yeah, the
Yeah.
timing of that is crazy.
Yeah.
Especially when, there were so many individuals, like you said, that enlisted that next day after that, the violent attack. They walked right into that
Yep.
recruiter's office the next day.
Yep. Yep. And to just give a man permission to be the warrior,
Mm.
right? Because that's been really beaten out of men and boys, and go into why that is, but public education and stuff, you need boys to behave. It's like you can't have chaos in the classroom. But that little guy is actually not designed to sit behind a desk for 8 hours. Like, he's going to learn through body, he's going to learn through movement, large muscle movement, that kind of thing. So to give men permission and to say the warrior is good. The warrior is in you. You just have to recover him.
Mm.
There may be some healing that's needed there, childhood trauma, that kind of thing. Yep, that's all very real. We're not pretending that's not there. Sometimes there's some pretty deep healing that needs to take place.
Mm.
But to affirm it and call it out, that's good stuff.
Hey guys, there are a lot of trends out there. And one trend that I've personally found in my own life through experience that has been a game changer is cold plunging and cold water therapy. The benefits for me have been off the charts when it comes to two main categories. The physical inflammation reduction from cold plunging every day has been a complete game changer, but my favorite part of cold water therapy has been the mental aspect, the mental clarity, the stress reduction, and most importantly, the ability to build mental toughness every day in a very simple way by just forcing myself to get in that cold water has been a drastic improvement that is easy, fast, and efficient. I've tried countless different ways to access cold water therapy, from the redneck version horse troughs to building my own cold plunge system off Amazon parts and pieces. Every time I've tried that, it has been a disaster until we found Ice Barrel. Ice Barrel is the most advanced barrel design on the market, and they have the most advanced high-tech chiller on the market as well. I've met the CEO, I've worked out with the CEO, we've had them at the lab. They're a great team, American-made manufacturing, and we're proud to announce that you can now access a discount on Ice Barrel products. All you need to do as a podcast listener is use the code MOUNTAINTOUGH. That's going to get you 15% off all Ice Barrels except the chiller. Again, that's MOUNTAINTOUGH, all caps, all one word, on icebarrel.com. How do you help guys, with that in their 30s, 40s, and 50s? How do you call out that warrior spirit while they're, maintaining some sort of order and civilization in with a family?
Got to go to work.
Yeah.
Let's go back to little boys and
Okay.
figure out how it affects those guys. So every little boy has two core needs. He needs to know that his dad loves him, because masculine love cannot be replaced by feminine love. And this messes guys up when they get into their adult life for the second reason. He needs to know his dad loves him. Second reason is he needs to know he has what it takes. So, when he's doing backflips on the trampoline, he wants his dad to see it, right? When he's playing in a game, he wants his dad there. Or he may be in the school play. He wants his dad there, right? But the dad is in his life. So you talk about those ceremonies. The epicenter of those ceremonies is, we see you, you have what it takes. And if you can build that through 100 stories, 1,000 stories in a boy's life growing up, I love you, and you have what it takes, he's going to be unstoppable.
Yeah.
And he's not going to fall into all the peer pressure stuff in adolescence, and the heavy drinking, or sleeping around with girls because he doesn't need it.
Mm.
Like, I know who I am. I'm good. I'm loved. I have what it takes. So you get into 30s, 40s, and you have to address those issues in your story.
Father wound.
You have to. You have to. How was that answered in your story?
Mm.
You got to heal that. Okay. First, you got to name it. I mean, yeah, what was the message to me growing up? You're weak, you know, you're too emotional, right? Or like for my son, the battle there was he was very science minded and he was very technology minded, and I just want to be outside. But I had to meet him where he was at and not shame him because he didn't want to be a hunter,
Mm.
right? So we had to find stuff that we could do together that would still affirm the warrior in him, right? And let him become a man in his own, skin.
Yeah. There's probably a middle ground there where dads are there, um, creating that father wound just through passivity and being there, but being emotionally detached.
Yeah. Yeah, because they have not gotten their heart back. And the heart is the powerhouse, man.
Mm.
That's where all your passion, your courage, your dreams, desires, also your ability to love and your ability to have masculine friendships, that's all from the heart. So if he's sitting in that house, but his heart is just buried, he's going to wound his kids through silence.
Mm. Yeah, even though he might be thinking he's trying to protect them by being kind of quiet.
Yeah.
I do want to get into the next step also, because a reoccurring theme that we've seen in the Mountain Tough community is, I hear it a lot when we have our live events. We have a big live event in Bozeman every June, and it's called Tough Fest. And Tough Fest is where all the Mountain Toughers training with us online all across the globe travel to Bozeman, and we spend a couple days together, hiking fire pits, grilling a lot of meat, and indoor workouts, outdoor workouts. It's an amazing couple days, but a reoccurring theme every time that we get to interact like that in person with the Mountain Tough community is this fear that individuals have in their 30s and 40s. And I'll focus this one on men again, but there are a lot of men that know they should be doing something different, but they just can't take that step to do it. And I correlate that a lot to your book, and that we all are wired for this battle to fight. But where I'm going with this question is, a lot of men, once they get into that 30 and 40 age range, they feel in their heart that there is a battle that they should fight. They see it sometimes. They can articulate it. They know what it is, but they can't take that step to do it. What do you think is going on there with that fear?
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the power of agreements. So you have an enemy, guys. There is something called the kingdom of darkness. And you don't need to like go to church or have a theology degree. Just look at the news, man.
Mhm.
Like there is evil, and that evil hates your guts. But the way it works is really cunning. It's very rarely direct assault. It's always the mind game. They go after your thought life. And over time, and usually through formative events, right? Like you drop the pass in the playoff game in high school, and now you just made this profound agreement with that. I'm an
Mhm.
idiot. I'll always do that. Don't trust me. Don't throw the ball to me, right? And then he's 35 and he passes up a promotion at work, or he has an opportunity to start a company and he doesn't do it because he made a deep agreement. Don't pass me the ball, right?
Hmm.
So through our life story, we come into these deep agreements. I'm an idiot. I suck. Nobody likes me. I actually don't have the capacity to love. The agreements are as many as the stars are in the sky. But this is the issue. That guy is immobilized by the agreements that he's still got going on inside. And it is so flippin' powerful
Hmm.
to break agreements, to name it and break it. You got to put words to it. And this usually isn't hard for dudes. Like, what do you say to yourself when you screw up? What comes out of your mouth, right? When you
Yeah.
blow it, your self-talk.
Mm.
Yeah. Such a pussy, such an idiot, man. You suck at life, like that stuff. Okay. You write it down. You need to identify the core agreements of your life. And then out loud, you say, I reject that. Today
Mm.
is the day I'm breaking with that. That is not true of me, and I will no longer let that rule me.
Powerful. Yeah.
Like it opens the gates.
I've used a ton of Bluetooth speakers over the years, and they all have never quite had enough output for me to really have an awesome home gym workout on a Bluetooth speaker. But the Turtle Box is in a whole new ball game. They have leveled up this product, so the bass and the output you get out of a Turtle Box is quite amazing. It's funny how we started using them at the lab. We had an awesome sound system at our new lab here in Bozeman. We were using it so much, we actually blew our brand new system out. We went right to the Turtle Boxes. And so we paired two together in the lab. And that was a lot of output for the Mountain Tough team and all of our testing to have phenomenal sound in our gym for a great workout with great music. We know there's a ton of Mountain Toughers training in their basements, in their garages, and I know a lot of you are looking for great sound to play some music in the background to your MGDs. This is a great product for you to check out. Turtle Box is at a whole new level. The bass and the volume you can get out of that box. It's a sweet product. You guys can check them out at turtleboxaudio.com. Use promo code TOUGH for a free Turtlebox hat with the purchase of a Gen 2 speaker. The hat must be added to your cart before entering the promo code TOUGH, TOUGH. Major breakthroughs there.
Big time.
Yeah, I've found that even with my life. A mentor helped me with some of that this year. And my parents got divorced in high school, so I was a sophomore, and he was grilling into my life trying to find those assignments I had negatively given myself, and he found one through the divorce, and it was around me not wanting to let anyone down, and it was related to how after my parents were divorced, my mom lived in the same town, but I lived with my dad, and I was walking this really delicate dance at that time on eggshells, not to let anyone down. And, 30 years later, yeah, he helped me identify that, and the breakthrough and kind of the power of putting a name to that. It was profound. It was really wild how much weight that can have on our entire life.
Yeah. It can be defining.
Mm.
And some of it is under the surface and needs to, get to the surface, maybe by talking to somebody, right? Like you were doing, talk to a mentor, talk to a therapist, talk to your priest, talk to somebody, right? But a lot of times this is everybody can name it. It's your self-talk. It's the stuff that just goes on in your head all the time. meeting with a guy recently, and I'm sitting with him. He's gifted, he's successful, he has a good marriage, everything's going well. Sitting with him, I could just feel the diminishment over him.
Hmm.
I'm not much. It's not that great, you know. And so finally I just named it. I just said, are you familiar with the idea of like diminishment? Like you ain't much, that ain't impressive, that kind of thing. And he looked at me and he goes, that's my normal.
Hmm.
That's what's in my head all the time. I'm like, dude, you got to break agreements with that. That is holding you down. And you could have so much joy already in your current life. Like you don't need to do anything new. You're doing great, man. You're crushing it.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the joy because in his head, it ain't much.
Hmm.
Right. So he broke the agreement. I ran into a buddy of his this weekend. He's like, oh, you can't believe him, man. He's like a different guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And you started with it at the beginning of this conversation too, around so much of that could be connected to the enemy. And, if the enemy is seeking to kill us and destroy us and prowling around us 24/7 like a lion, so much of that could be in our thought life. And
Oh,
that's an easy place for us to miss it because, we're thinking about a lion taking us down in the parking lot when we leave this building, but that's not what is actually happening. They're prowling around those thoughts, and that can get pretty wild pretty fast.
yeah. Yeah. I want to say thoughts and feelings because sometimes you just wake up in the middle of the night to fear,
Hmm.
right? And if you think that fear is you feel so weak. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm just a coward. You go, no, 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 no. That is external. That stuff is jumping on you. And so you kick it out,
Hmm.
right? I reject this fear. Get out of my house, right? That's powerful.
That is powerful. So, we started with the state of the union a little bit on men in what you're seeing globally. I wanted to take a second and pivot a little bit into if you could describe men that are really flourishing, what would you describe that they're doing, their patterns, their habits, uh,
Mm,
their thoughts, their lifestyle? When
mm,
when you think about men in your life that
mm.
are walking in step with their purpose and calling,
Yeah,
still full of joy, what do you think kind of created the circumstances for that really flourishing environment?
yeah. Great question. Several things. They're coming out of isolation. Isolation kills, man.
Mm.
Uh, I was looking at some research the other day. Someone was telling me about it, that isolation and loneliness is like smoking several packs a day on your health.
Hmm.
It's a crusher. And that's not even mental health. That's just like literally your physical health and your longevity.
That's
Um,
crazy.
yeah. So guys are coming out of isolation and they're getting with other men. That's one thing. Um, they are doing what you did. They're facing their story from their past and dealing with it. That thing of don't disappoint anyone and stuff. Well, that's rooted in a story, right? Every guy's got a story of how he lost heart.
Hmm.
They're looking at their story. Um, but I would say a really huge piece of this is the recovery of faith and the recovery of an actual relationship with a living father.
Hmm.
Because the whole problem is the guy's like, well, I'm 37. Either my dad's gone or like we have no relationship. Where do I go to get this stuff?
Yeah.
Well, guess what, guys? You have a heavenly father who loves you and is committed still to your initiation. And a lot of the stuff in your life that you look at is what a hassle. What is this? What a setback. No, 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 no. You're actually being initiated through hardship. But without a dad there to help you interpret it and to say, I love you, I'm really proud of you. Man, guys who are getting their hearts back are getting hooked up to a living God, right?
Mm,
The Father, who is not religious and creepy and weird, and he's not mad at you, right? Like he's the God of the wilderness. He's the God of the very stuff you love. He's the God of passion, and he is a warrior. He is
mm,
a warrior big time. And that's where you got the warrior heart. He gave you his warrior heart. So the Renaissance movement, this recovery thing, most of it is centered around groups of men are recovering faith,
mm.
and they're walking together as they seek God and seek what God has for their life, right? Whole new story, whole new passion, whole new opportunity.
Yeah.
Like your deal, right? You're like, you know what? I think I'm going to start a company.
Hey guys, I did want to interrupt for a quick minute right here and let you know about some supplements I've been taking. I did shy away from supplements for a long time. I was always cautious about what they were made out of, where they were from, and who the team was behind the brands. But over the last couple of years, I've got to meet the team at Mountain Ops from top to bottom, and they are an amazing group of humans. I've got to know the CEO, Trevor Farnes, really well, and he is a mission-focused individual that cares about humans living a better quality of life so that they can have that abundant life. So over the last couple of years, he has helped me add some things that have changed the game for me. One of those things that I've added is creatine from Mountain Ops. It helps me maintain some muscle mass, but also it's a big, big player in cognitive function, one of the most researched supplements out there. Also, I've added reds, greens, and protein, all from Mountain Ops. What I found as a busy professional, always on the run, I do eat a whole foods diet for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but on the go, it's hard to get enough vegetables, fruits, and protein. So I've added that from Mountain Ops, and it has significantly changed the game. I can feel it in my performance. I haven't got sick for a long, long time, and I can certainly feel it in my mental clarity as well. The last thing I've added is the Mountain Tough Hydrate product for the backcountry, for hunting season. When I'm in the hills, I do run short on those electrolytes. We even have a Mountain Tough flavor, the Mountain Tough Lemon Lime Hydrate, and that is a game changer for hydration in the backcountry. So I keep it really simple. That is all I've added to my protocol, and it has certainly helped me, and I certainly believe in the team and the culture behind Mountain Ops. They have started an initiative that's been around for a while called Conquer Hunger. Conquer Hunger is giving meals to hungry kids that aren't getting enough food, and they've given out over 6 million meals plus to kids through their Conquer Hunger initiative. So every order that happens at Mountain Ops, a percentage of that order goes to Conquer Hunger. So certainly an incredible company, an incredible culture. As a listener to the show, you do get an exclusive offer to Mountain Ops, so make sure you check that out. The offer is incredible as a first-time purchase at mountainops.com. So build your order if it's your first time. They are offering you a 20% exclusive discount. All you need to do is enter the promo code Mountain Tough, all one word, all caps, for 20% off your first order at mountainops.com. I know, and those transformations, you feel them, and they are hard to explain.
Mm-hmm.
But through faith, you do notice that you're being transformed, and your goals change, your mission changes, and I think that even though it might be hard to articulate that heart change into others, you feel it in your own heart that is kind of God putting you back on that purpose and mission.
100%. 100%.
Related to that, do you feel like guys can miss their calling, miss their purpose?
Yeah. Yeah. For a variety of reasons. The agreements, right? He turns down the opportunity, doesn't go get his PhD, he won't marry the girl because he's, scared to love and scared to be loved. Yeah, you can totally trash your story by
Hmm.
not dealing with your brokenness. Okay. And men hate to admit their brokenness because it feels like weakness. You
Yeah.
go, no, no, man, you live in a world at war. You were born into Normandy. You were born into Afghanistan, dude. Like this is a savage war. There's no shame in being wounded, but you're an idiot not to deal with your wounds. Okay. Because you'll sabotage your own story. Okay.
Mm.
I think you cannot become who you were meant to be without partnership with God. You're a son.
Mm.
You are a son, and you have a father. And if there's no conversation there, and there's no shared life together, I mean, guys, I got wild stories that got me into this. So I'm a young therapist. I'm sitting in my office one night, marriage counseling, and and afterwards, I felt God say something to me, and He said, "You are only speaking to two people. I
Mm.
want you to speak to more than that." At the
Crazy.
time, I'm nobody, man. I sitting in a counseling office, clients kind of thing. And he was right. He's like, he opened up this whole new world. I asked him, I said, okay, Papa, what do you want me to do? He says, I want you to quit your job. I want you to start writing. And like this whole new thing opened up, this whole new story, which has just been this wild story ever since
Yeah.
of letting God in, letting Him speak, letting Him heal. I had an alcoholic home. Like I had a lot of childhood trauma that needed to be dealt with. And it was in my 30s, I finally started seeing a therapist to work through some of that stuff.
Man. So there was definitely a calling, very probably transparent calling for you now, looking back on history of your life, where God was kind of orchestrating those steps for you
Yeah.
to launch Wild at Heart for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's another moment. So out of fear, out of insecurity, prove that I'm a man, prove you have what it takes. I went to DC. I got this job in DC, and this is before becoming a therapist. And I did really well. I was actually successful, but I was coming out of a meeting at the White House, and I'm walking down the driveway of the West Wing, okay? And God spoke, and He says, "Are you happy?" And I kind of looked at my internal world, and I'm like, "Meh." And He's like, "Dude, you're in the wrong job. Like, if that doesn't float your boat,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be in policy,
Yeah.
right? Like you're in the wrong line of work. So even your unhappiness can be God calling, knocking on the door, right? Even your anger can be
Mhm.
God knocking on the door. He's like, right, you don't like your life. Let's talk.
Let's change it.
Yeah.
Do you find that a lot of men are gonna hit a big wall right there around security and
Mm.
security, safety, finances,
Yep.
mortgages, payments,
Yep.
even though
Yep.
they're hearing something, even though they're hearing a change needs to be
Yes.
made, that security threat is shutting them down.
Yep. Yeah. So then it's the wife who says, I'm not sure I want to be married anymore because you aren't even in the building,
Hmm.
right? It's the teenage daughter who shows up pregnant. It's the crises then. And they force the growth, right? Because the pain of staying where you are is greater than your fear of change.
Wow. That's crazy. Huh? I never thought about it that way. So the man who's lost his heart and hears a hears from God a path out and starts seeing maybe where he should go, refuses to take those steps because of financial fear is, what I see a lot of. That's going to bring on future crises and worse, and some really bad ones potentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
That,
I mean, Dante's famous line, in the middle of the road of my life, I awoke in a dark wood where the true way was totally lost. Sometimes it's just that. It's the midlife. What am I doing? Like, I don't even like my life. And then he sees other guys who seem to be loving, their life, and they have friendships, and they're in adventures kind of thing. And it may be that. It just takes getting to the place where you say, I need a different story, man. This is not working.
That's wild. And you are still contributing. I'm shifting gears here a little bit, but you're still contributing a lot of one of the methods for a man to stay healthy is to get out and spend some time in the wilderness.
Nature heals, fellas.
Hmm.
Nature heals the soul. That's been true for millennia. And now the neuroscience is catching up, and you spend 20-minute walk in the woods, your cortisol levels drop. Like, yeah, it is healing to be in nature, partly because it's healing to be in reality, right? If you're just screens and, artificial environments, and you're in a cubicle and all that, like, you just die. The masculine soul is made to be outside. It's made to be in nature of some form. It might be the ocean, it might be road biking, right? It's different for different guys. I've got two sons who love to hunt. My third son doesn't, but he loves to fly fish.
Oh
So
yeah.
he and I go on fly fishing trips, right? Like, it's different for different guys. But yeah, man, nature heals the soul.
Mountain Tough is the fitness app trusted by the dedicated. Mountain Tough ethos is backed by, we've always wanted to be the best in the world at helping our customers become more mentally tough. So inside the Mountain Tough app, you're not only going to find all of our physical training programs, but you're going to find additional training as well so that you can stay sharp physically, mentally, spiritually, and nutritionally. The Mountain Tough app also allows you to train no matter where you are, anytime, anywhere. Additionally, the Mountain Tough app is going to have programs from beginners all the way up to elite athletes. And all of our programming is structured in a way that you can start with no gear at body weight, and you can go all the way up to programming that is full gear. So you can do that in a robust home gym or your local gym. There's no excuse for you not to start today. With Mountain Tough, you can conquer your goals with the ideal program for your lifestyle and schedule. Train with equipment or just your body weight on your phone, tablet, TV, or web browser. Most importantly, Mountain Tough will help you train your mindset so you are always ready for anything life throws your way. Mountain Tough is offering the Mountain Tough podcast listeners an incredible offer. 6 weeks free on the Mountain Tough app. All you need to do is use the code MTNPOD to redeem your 6 weeks of training. That'll be a 14-day free trial plus a whole additional 4 weeks of training. Just go to mountaintough.com and enter code MTNPOD for your 6 weeks free on the best-in-class physical and mental training app. Yeah, especially now, with the tech, we talk all the time about if someone's struggling, a quick, simple hack is to just go on a cool 3-day adventure without your phone. And you're in Colorado, I'm in Montana, and so I'll usually tell someone, just go on a backcountry adventure for 3 days, but don't bring your phone. And the healing power in that is so transformational. It is so amazing that you could change the trajectory of 10 years in 3 days like that. And we've seen it over and over again. And now I tell people, you don't have to be in Colorado or Montana to do that.
No.
You can do that in Alabama or Mississippi. The magic is outdoors. Get away from people, leave your phone, away from the lights and the technology, and make some sort of adventure out of it. Maybe it's a little outside your comfort zone, a little intimidating. And man, it's crazy how fast someone can flip around.
Guys, if you are anywhere near the ocean, get to the ocean. You don't have to go hunting, man. Get in the ocean. Swim every day. Maybe stand up paddleboard. Like the recovery is there. The opportunities are there.
And final question for you, John. We are starting to get close to the end of our time, and I do want to be respectful of your time. But I was curious around, you've talked a lot about it on today's episode, and I was curious around how you're recommending this practice to men. But you've talked a lot about breaking that isolation and finding ways to create strong friendships with other guys and hanging out with other guys and spending time with other guys. And you can look around society and really see in American society that has become a lost art, where, there's not many softball leagues and bowling leagues and archery leagues like there used to be. And, common excuses, how busy things have gotten, has cutting out that casual downtime where we used to enjoy a lot of those recreational activities together. But I'm assuming that you're a promoter of you have to be intentional about these things and get them set up in your life.
Passivity and masculinity never go together. Whether it's talking to your teenage daughter, changing a career, or joining a CrossFit thing just so you can meet some guys, right? You go down and you join a shooting club just so you can meet some guys. Yeah. You join a running club, something, man, right? You take a first aid class just so you can meet guys, right? We've actually got a whole thing on our website now called Wild at Heart Local. And there's a global map, it's live, and you can get on and go, is anything going on in my area? And you're like, here are guys who are doing a fire. Here are guys who are doing a father-son thing. Here, father-daughter things. Like, we built that to help guys get out of isolation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really cool map.
And then a lot of folks that you're talking to and working with, are you having them go down to that additional layer of men's group, Bible studies, fellowships, diving into the Word together?
Yeah. You can't. God has rigged the world, fellas, so that it doesn't work without Him. It doesn't. You got to get back into a real relationship with God. And it might be one of these fires. It might be reading Wild at Heart with a few of your pals. Yeah, it could be the men's thing that's going on Saturday mornings at church. Could be a small group. But man, you have got to get a life with God going.
Yeah, and break that isolation. That as a hunter, the isolation is so fascinating, because if you're a lion and you're going to kill a gazelle, you're going to kill that isolated gazelle every time.
Yeah.
Not that one hanging out with all its friends. And
yeah.
At the same time, isolation, for a lot of people seems to be like this lever you pull like a quick almost eject button when you're feeling kind of off. If you're feeling
Mhm.
off, you're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna watch Netflix all day by myself, thinking that is going to bring some healing when it's, the isolation is I think it's way more damaging than any of us realize.
Yeah. Yeah. So my best friend was killed in a climbing accident the very first weekend we started Wild at Heart events.
Hmm.
And God spoke to me like he did in that therapist office years before. And he said, I will not let you walk alone. Because he knew I was just going to retreat into solitude,
Yeah.
isolation. It's like, screw it, man. And it has been critical over the years for
Hmm.
me to have some guys in my life and guys to do stuff with, guys to call at 2 a.m., right? Guys to pray with when something's going down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even if it's outside your comfort zone.
It will be, fellas. So
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Like, let's get over that part, okay? The joy is worth it. The help is worth it.
Yeah. The brotherhood is worth it for sure.
Oh, it's worth it.
Well, John, thank you so much. I'm so glad you were able to jump on today. And as we discussed, I've been looking forward to this for a long time for how much your work has done to, inspire me and the Mountain Tough brand and the whole Mountain Tough organization. A lot of that was because of the calling, that you followed and, released in 2001. So
Right?
the ripple effects are magnificent, and the ripple effects happen over decades. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's really great to talk to you. And I love what you guys are doing. Like, keep it up. You're helping, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Yeah. Great to be with you.
Likewise. What a phenomenal conversation with John. Remember, every single episode, we're looking for that golden nugget. What's the practical thing we can take away right now to make sure we're changing our life today? We're not waiting. We have this practical approach. For sure, on today's episode, the one for me hit me like a brick because the way John articulated it. I asked him on the show, what is going to happen when a guy misses his calling? And he answered me in a completely different way. He said, well, then you're going to see the marriage collapse. Then you're going to see the teenage daughter with problems. I've never seen that question answered that way, and it makes complete sense. There are a lot of men that are going to struggle because of fear to do the things they were meant to do. But it's not only that you're going to miss the plans God has for you, your life is going to struggle in other ways because of that depressed, oppressed mindset of not being in line with your purpose and mission. So he's saying you got to be careful with that, because not only can you miss it, it can also cause a potential divorce. It can cause family problems because of where your mindset is going to be after staying outside of your purpose. That was one of the most profound ways I've ever heard that question answered, because that is exactly what is going on out there with a lot of men, women, everyone. When we don't do the things we know we're supposed to do, that depressed, oppressed mindset starts the negative cycle of problems, and the negative cycle continues. So think about that. Think about how you can make some changes related to that. Love you guys. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you on the next episode.